Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to read a book called A Chair for My Mother. We've been talking about habit number 2, which is beginning with the end in mind. So let's see how that relates to this book. There's a picture. It says the Blue Tile Diner. My mother works as a waitress at the Blue Tile Diner. After school, sometimes I go and meet her there. Then her boss, Josephine, gives me a job too. I wash the salts and peppers and fill the ketchups. One time, I peeled all the onions for onion soup. When I finish, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and pays me. And every time, I put half my money into the jar. It's a jar. It's a big jar. It takes a long time to fill a jar this big. Every day when my mother comes home from work, I take down the jar. My mama empties all her change from her tips out of her coin purse for me to count. Then we push all the coins into the jar. Sometimes my mama is laughing when she comes home from work. Sometimes she's so tired that she falls asleep while I'm counting. Some days she has lots of tips, and some days she only has a little. Then she looks worried. But each evening, every single shiny coin goes into the jar. Picture. We sit in the kitchen to count the tips. Usually Grandma sits with us too. While we count, she likes to hum. Often she has money in her old leather wallet for us. Whenever she gets a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas or something she buys, she puts the savings into the jar. When we can't get a single other coin into that jar, we're going to take out all the money and we're going to go buy a chair. Yes, a chair. A wonderful, beautiful, fat, soft armchair. We will get it covered in velvet with roses all over it. We are going to get the best chair in the whole wide world. That is because our old chairs burned up. There's a big fire in our other house. All of our chairs burned, and so did our sofa, and so did everything else. That wasn't such a long time ago. Here's the chair that they would like to get for My mother and I were coming home from buying new shoes. I had new sandals. She had new pumps. We were walking to our house from the bus. We were looking at everyone's tulips. She was saying she liked red tulips, and I was saying I liked the yellow ones. Then we came to our block. Oh no. Right outside our house stood 2 big fire engines. I could see lots of smoke. Tall orange flames came out of the roof. All the neighbors stood in a bunch across the street. Mama grabbed my hand and we ran. My Uncle Sandy saw us and ran to us. Mama yelled, "Where's Mother?" I yelled, "Where's my grandma?" My Aunt Ida waved and shouted, "She's here, she's here. She's okay, don't worry." Grandma was all right. Our cat was safe too, though it took a while to find her. But everything else in the whole house was spoiled. It's all black from the smoke. What was left of the house turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my mother's sister, Aunt Ida, and Uncle Sandy. Then we were able to move into the apartment downstairs. We painted the walls yellow. The floors were all shiny, but their rooms were very empty. The first day we moved in, the neighbors brought pizza and cake and ice cream. They brought lots of other things too. The family across the street brought a table and 3 kitchen chairs. The very old man next door gave us a bed from when his children were little. My other grandpa brought a beautiful rug. My mother's other sister, Sally, had made us a red and white curtains. Mama's boss, Josephine, brought pots and pans, silverware, and dishes. My cousin brought me her own stuffed bear. Everyone clapped when my grandma made a speech. "You all are the kindest people," she said, "and we thank you very much. It's lucky we're young and can start over." The neighborhood. They're all lined up taking stuff to them. That was last year, but we still have no sofa and no big chairs. When Mama comes home, her feet hurt. "There's no good place for me to take a load off my feet," she said. "When Grandma wants to sit back and hum and cut potatoes, she has to go get comfortable as she can in the hard kitchen chair." So that's how come Mama brought home the biggest jar she could find at the diner, and all the coins started going into the jar. Now the jar is too heavy for me to lift down. Uncle Sandy gave me a quarter. He had to boost me up so I could put it in. Look at the jar now. That's a lot of coins. After supper, Mama and Grandma and I stood in front of the jar. "Well, I never would have believed it, but I guess it's full," Mama said. My mother brought home a little brown wrappers for the nickels and dimes and the quarters. I counted them all out and wrapped them up. On my Mother's Day off, we took all the coins to the bank. The bank exchanged them for $10 bills. Then we took the bus downtown to shop for our chairs. We are at the bank. We shopped through 4 furniture stores. We tried out big chairs, smaller ones, high chairs and low chairs, and harder ones and soft ones. Grandma said she felt like Goldilocks in the 3 bears trying out chairs. Look at all these chairs. Finally, we found a chair we were all dreaming of, and the money in the jar was enough to pay for it. We called Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy. They came right down in their pickup truck to drive the chair home for us. They knew we couldn't wait for it to be delivered. Look, it's back there. The chair that they remember earlier in the book. I tried out our chair in the back of the truck. Mama wouldn't let me sit there while we drove, but they let me sit in there while they carried it up to the door. She looks nice and comfortable. We set the chair right beside the window with the red and white curtains. Mama and Grandma and I all sat in it while Aunt Ida took our picture. Now Grandma sits in it and talks with people going by in the daytime. Mama sits down and watches the news on TV when she comes home from her job. After supper, I sit with her, and she can reach right up and turn out the light if I fall asleep in her lap. The end. So how did they begin with the end in mind? Think about that. They saved, they worked really hard, and they were able to get the exact chair that they wanted. Did it happen right away? Nope. But they knew it would eventually happen, and they worked really hard to make it happen. I hope you think about that. Bye.